Hi, friends. Welcome to Enlightened World Network. Dr. Ruth Anderson and Michele Landers here for New Month Numerology. Here we are, July 1, 2026. Michele Landers is a board certified life purpose coach, a hypnotherapist, and a professional numerologist. I'm hoping the Wi-Fi will settle down a little bit so we can be seamless here. Michele Landers, thank you so much for being here today, and I can't wait to hear what July has in store for us.
Really? Okay.
Well, it's better to know than to be
I'm so
surprised, right?
glad. I'm so glad you're excited. And yeah, it is exciting. I've really had, I don't know what you want to call it. There's a lot of different names in Italian and Jewish and all that, Zurus and whatever. But I'm happy to share it because it is exciting on many levels and also eye-opening. So shall we get started? Yes. So I'm not sure how many people here are old enough to know or have heard about the Ed Sullivan show years ago, but I wanted to start off by saying this is going to be a really big shoe tonight, as Ed Sullivan used to say. And when I was a kid, we used to gather around TV on Sunday and watch that show. That's where I first saw the Beatles. So, at any rate, I really want to just review a couple of things that were predicted just as reference points. Like, oh, right, that did happen, just for some credibility, to be honest with you. So, what happened in May and June? I'm going to focus mainly on all of these eruptions. A number of volcanic explosions and ongoing eruptions have been occurring around the world in May. There were significant explosion in the Philippines, Guatemala, in Mexico, and an entirely new undersea. And if you remember, I did talk about things happening in water, underwater, on water, eruption in Papa, Papua, New Guinea. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's the way it sounded to me. On June 1st, it's another one that's a little bit of a tongue teaser for me. Kilauea in Hawaii, Kilauea. That's the way I think it goes. And that was a volcano that produced historic record breaking lava. And in addition to that, there's a lot of other US volcanoes that are erupting. Mount St. Helens in Washington, Augustine in Alaska. There are more that are being closely watched. And on June 8th, a 6.1 magnitude underwater earthquake. This is bizarre. This is more than we've seen in a long time. But this underwater earthquake hit off the coast of Cuba, and it is the strongest earthquake in nearly 150 years to hit off that coast. And it shook Mexico, and there were even parts of Florida, believe it or not, southern Florida, who felt some of this. So, and then just recently on June 24th, Venezuela was struck by a double earthquake, or they call it doublet, because there was a 7.2 magnitude foreshock followed, I don't know, just 39 seconds later by a massive 7.5 main shock. Now, this was the strongest seismic event in the country in over a century. It was devastating, and it resulted in, I think, over 1,700 deaths and destruction of tens of thousands and buildings. So it is safe to say that these eruptions and unusual weather patterns that are happening, even in unusual places, are going to continue. I hate to say it, and I just want to inject a little public service announcement. I'm just going to veer off course for a second. I think this is really important. I know there are some people who for many years have said, climate change, worldwide disruptions in weather, they're simply part of the Earth's natural cycle. Well, I would have to rely on scientific experts who strongly disagree. So, yes, on one hand, climate has changed naturally in the past, but those shifts occurred over thousands to millions of years. This current rapid rate of warming is historically unprecedented, and it is directly linked to the massive increase in greenhouse gases that are produced by human involvement. And this is since the Industrial Revolution, by the way. And sadly, this administration has essentially gutted the EPA's authority. And we really need to make our voices heard to bring it back to its full working authority and capacity. So that's it. I just felt like it was important to mention that. Also, as predicted, the dripping of UFO or UAP information. And for the life of me, I can't understand, and so many other people can't understand where this change came from UFO to the acronym UFO to UAP. Whatever the reason, the point is more is coming out, and I'm so certain in preparation for the bigger reveal. I still don't believe all of it is ready to come out, but again, I and also many other prognosticators, if you like, have been saying this for a couple of years now. So stay tuned. There's certainly more to come. All righty. So one of the things I wanted to sing, the song that was going through my head was Meet George Jetson. And why? Because July is critical. There are a number of reasons why it's so critical. And I'm going to try and organize it as best I can because I was just so excited getting this stuff out. And I just want to, be as clear as possible about it. So, first of all, it's the 250th birthday of the USA. And that is so significant because the United States is having its, among other things, its Uranus return. So I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but the energy this month is very Uranian, not uranium, Uranian in the sense that it's very electric and very powerful in both the United States and the world, and it can bring events and changes. It's electrifying. So, yeah, so again, maybe Uranian is so alien as well, about aliens. And we're going to talk about Barbo's basket, not right this minute, stay tuned, but we will. So let's start with the numerology. Numerology is the seventh month. Combined with the energy of the year 2026, we arrive at the number 17 and 8. These are power numbers in numerology. 8 is so karmic, and it's going to bring in all sorts of karmic events, which again could tie in with this Barbo's basket. So let's talk about both the positive and the challenging energy of the number 8. So July is an 8 universal month in a one universal year. So let's look at the number 8. If you turn the number 8 sideways, it is the symbol of infinity. It means that balance here on earth must be maintained. And perhaps, again, this is why we have Barbo's basket as a wake-up call of how we are so out of balance. 8 is very practical. It's a very earthbound number. However, as I said, it's also a really karmic number, and it's going to bring in all sorts of karmic events. And you know, karma is neither positive or negative. So it's going to bring in both positive and challenging. It's a real testing number. How much have we learned and how much have we grown? And how much control do we have or don't we have? 8 is concerned with who's in charge, who's in control. And I think this is also a theme this month. People are asking, people are demanding who's running the show, who's running things on the world stage. And of course, here at home in the US. So we can say this is about leaders. And true to the energy that we've been experiencing again and again, we can expect more leaders either stepping down or otherwise leaving positions of authority or having a lot to say, being outspoken. It certainly brings in stubbornness, people digging in their heels, either refusing to cooperate or, as I said, demanding answers, demanding to be heard. There certainly can be revolutions and, oh gosh, a lot of protesting. It's going to bring probably an upsurge and an uprising here in the United States or even around the world, because the world is so involved in everything that's going on, and people are just like, what the heck is going on here? But for those in power, unfortunately, a lot of them might take the stance of might is right, that kind of philosophy. And the 8 also has to do with finances. So there will definitely be a spotlight on our financial status, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, our financial institutions. Now, I have to say, though, that working 8 in the positive, this is a great time to nose to the grindstone, work hard, work wisely, set up our priorities. It's not the time to slack off. Watch your money, be money smart, keep your eyes wide open. Don't rush, because the 8 does have a tendency to want to rush through things and be impulsive. So we may see things that happen out of the blue or people making decisions impulsively. So keep an eye again on your personal finances. It should be one of your top priorities, by the way, this month. It's a good time to do planning as it relates to business or your professional life. And again, your money, it's time to organize things. And it's also a time to be part of the team. But I want to add this, it's also such a great time about thinking about being a solarpreneur. If you want to start a business, I would say get your ducks in a row now. The tarot card I wanted to show you, which I will right now, is the 8th card of the tarot. And look at that. I love that, right? It says so much about this month. It's the strength card. It reminds us to have strength, to have courage, and to step out of your comfort zone and have a voice and speak out and speak up. And it reminds us that we can overcome obstacles with patience and with compassion. It reminds us that we don't need to be a bully. And unfortunately, 8 can also be a bully. And it's all about using our mind and our heart rather than brute force. Now, we have to be aware that these aspects can, of course, go one or two ways. It could be bullying and unnecessary force, but it also can be courage and speaking out. So you pick, you pick your road, or you pick, where do you want to put your stake? Where do you want to, whatever that saying is, put your line in the sand. So we also have the 17th card, of the tarot, which this should make everybody very happy because it's the star card. That's part of the major arcana as well. And it's telling us what? Well, it's saying, look, have hope. It's a reminder to trust the universe, have faith in the future, and to let us know, yes, better things are coming. So I want to talk a little bit about what's happening again with the United States now, and just to peek by necessity, you'll understand moving into 2027. So our USA is having a few turning points. As I mentioned, it's having its 250th anniversary. 2 + 5 = 7. 7 is a very spiritual number, so it's asking us, it's imploring us to please take a more spiritual perspective or look at what's happening in this world. And on July 4th, the USA shifts into a new numerological transit until July 4th, 2027. Now, that's in addition to what we're in already. The USA is in a 3-year, which that ends on December 31st of this year. So there's going to be a crossover of all this energy. Now, this 3 that the astrological, or I'm sorry, the numerological transit that we're going through, and the 3-year that we're in, there's such a heavy emphasis on communication, on speaking and speaking out, on, oh gosh, all types of media, on education, social and community reforms and affairs, research, contracts. It's so mind-blowing busy as far as words and speaking out that it's almost overwhelming. A lot of questioning of why and how we're doing things. Lots of talking. Lots of issues coming to the forefront. As I said, busy, outspoken, verbal transit that we're under, and which I interpret as large groups of people protesting and speaking out. So we really have to be super sharp during this time to stay on top of things, to use our critical thinking skills, because it will heighten our communication. It rules our minds, and it also rules how we perceive all this communication. So the personal month for the United States, interestingly, is the number 1, which corresponds to the Magician. And I don't know why, I'm going to throw it out there. I just heard these words for whatever reason. You better be able to pull a rabbit out of your hat. Now, I don't know what that means, except I know it means something, that we might reach some type of a critical point, that things have to change, or something has to change. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm not sure exactly what it means, but it certainly makes sense with, again, I'm going to go back to July 19th and Barbeau's basket, which I promise I'm going to get to, okay? In addition, we have a volatile Mars-Uranus conjunction, which is triggering the United States natal Uranus. Now, Uranus return represents an 84-year cycle of national rebirth, of revolution, of technological, and even our identity being redefined. And again, Uranus is like the lightning bolt. So putting it into context, the first and second United States Uranus returns coincided with the Revolutionary War and World War II. All right, so does that mean we're going to war? Well, we're already at war. So I'm hoping that's now, might we see more wars break out? Sure. But I'd like to focus more on how our identity can be redefined and how we are being reborn. This month is so jam-packed with just unbelievable, amazing, and what feels like outrageous or unusual events that I can't imagine it being nothing short of least eye-opening, but definitely transformative. So let's move on to some of the astrological transits. Today, July 1st, Mars in Gemini, sextile Jupiter in Leo. Now, I like this. So today begins on an upbeat note as Mars in Gemini forms this harmonious sextile with Jupiter in Leo. And we know that Jupiter expands. Now, Leo is gregarious and creative. It's also ego, though. So this is a nice dynamic combo. It's enthusiastic, it's confident, it's curious. Today is a great day for creativity, a good time to start our project, to take action. It's just a really good energy today. So let's go to July 4th. All right. First of the challenging aspects, we on the 4th of July, we have a Mars-Uranus conjunction, and it is one of the major astrological events of July 2026. And because it occurs on July 4th, the anniversary of the United States, it's getting a lot of attention. Okay. Mars meets Uranus in Gemini. So what does that mean? These are two very powerful planets. Expect the unexpected. Technology could be advances, advancement of some type, or it could be breakdowns. Now, these events may not happen exactly on the 4th, but I suspect they will, but it can be on or around. And I always like to emphasize that these aspects can happen around that date as well. So this transit is creating one of the most electrifying, and unpredictable aspects. Mars is action, but Mars is also courage. Mars is also passion, but it's also aggression and it's drive. And Uranus is the lightning rod or the lightning bolt, the planet of awakening, of innovation, of liberation, and sudden change. So what can you expect when these two come together? Well, life as we know it can have some explosive and volatile ramifications or acceleration in unexpected ways. And I'm not just talking about, obviously, fireworks, being explosive. I mean, it can really even trigger, I don't know, sudden geopolitical disruptions. It could also, it could bring some surprise or even shocks to the financial and technological sectors, or just the technological sectors. And it could also bring about or initiate a collective push, a really big push of rebellion and people wanting liberation. Now, I do have to mention that Trump doesn't usually do well with this Mars-Uranus conjunction. The assassination attempt that took place during that powerful transiting Mars-Uranus conjunction in 2024, of course, there was also the fixed star Al-Gol, but that happened during this Mars-Uranus conjunction for him. And his birth chart is very Mars-Uranus prominent. So we'll see how that affects him or J.D. Vance or our country. It's just all because this is highly explosive and volatile. So, okay, we know that this energy of disruptions can cause, though, breakthroughs. So just to sum it up collectively, what might happen? Well, as I said, It could be unexpected world events, surprising headlines, tech disruptions. But again, I have to add to that breakthroughs, innovative discoveries in and around that time, sudden shifts in communication, in transportation, the media, social movements that seem to gain momentum overnight. It is a growing desire and a heavy emphasis on this desire to break free from so many outdated systems and ways of thinking. It could also bring mergers, could also bring acceleration of the military. I don't like that, of AI, and who knows more about UFOs. And for all of us, this conjunction is really encouraging us to step outside our comfort zone, which I'm thinking, really, I believe that this is already happening to a lot of people. I mean, it certainly is happening to me. So you may feel inspired to take a bold action, bold decision, begin something new, or finally free yourself from a situation that's been holding you back. The gift of Mars Uranus is courage. The challenge is anger and impulsiveness and volatility. So I know that people probably are tired of hearing me say of this yin yang all the time, but it's true. All of the transits, whatever it is, numerologically, astrologically, they have a gift and they have a challenge. It depends on where you're going to put your energy. Now, July 5th, we have Mars trine Pluto. Now, spiritually, Mars trining Pluto reminds us that our true power, because Pluto is about control, isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering ourselves. So if you've been procrastinating or waiting for the right time, this energy will definitely help you move forward, and with some confidence and also with determination. And I have to say, it may feel like obstacles that may felt overwhelming may suddenly feel like manageable. So the transit favors tackling difficult projects, breaking old habits, standing in your truth, setting healthy boundaries, taking bold but thought out action. And that is a lot of what this month is also about, being bold, using your mind and your heart. On July 6th, we have the Sun square Saturn, and that's kind of a reality check. So just as we're feeling more confident, the Sun forms this challenging square to Saturn. Saturn is what? The taskmaster. It's a planet of responsibility, discipline, and life lessons. So yes, we may encounter some delays, maybe some criticism, or feel as though we're taking these steps forward and now we're taking one step back. But I just want to say, even though it might feel frustrating, Saturn isn't trying to stop you. It's asking you make sure you're building on a strong, solid foundation. That's what Saturn's about. So it's a wonderful day to ask, okay, this is the goal that I'm planning, but is it really, really important to me? Do I have to think about this? Do I have to make a change? Also, am I willing to do the work? Another thing to ask yourself, where do I need more patience? So just know Saturn likes and rewards consistency over speed. So you don't have to rush through things, which 8 has a tendency to do that. But also know that sometimes what feels just like a setback is actually divine protection divine guidance, just redirecting us to something better. And if you do feel put upon or challenged, you know what the question is. What lesson is this challenge trying to teach me? Always trying to look for the gift, or always trying to look for what is this trying to show me. And when you do that, you'd be surprised how things open up and become more clear, and things are revealed to you. All right, let's move on to July 7th. We have a Neptune retrograde. Well, this is an awakening. This is Neptune's annual retrograde. And when this happened, it's like the veil of illusion starts to lift. So for the next several months, it's an invitation to peek beneath appearances and ask ourselves, difficult but really liberating questions. And this is for the world as well, okay? Where have we been fooling ourselves? What fantasy have we mistakenly taken for reality? Am I following my intuition or simply my wishful thinking? Neptune governs spirituality, dreams, compassion, creativity, and our connection to the divine. So it's an invitation to try and back away from or back down from all these external distractions that are trying to get our attention, and to allow us to hear that quiet voice of our soul more clearly, and to ask ourselves, what truth is ready to be revealed? A lot of revelations, I feel, this month. Okay, let's see, where are we? July 9th, Venus enters Virgo. Now, when Venus moves into Virgo, it's not romantic, all right? She loves it, loves being practical. So in this way, in this energy, we get to express our love through service, through kindness, through being dependable, being thoughtful and caring. Spiritually, this energy reminds us that love is not just something we feel, it is action, it is something we practice. So I decided that there are some other transits, between the 9th and the big events, but I want to jump through the big event. I just want to go to this event that it's so big that we haven't seen this in this decade, maybe this century. And if I could be so bold, well, I don't think we've ever seen it, because that's what a lot of astrologers are saying. And it's called Barbeau's basket. Now, what the heck is that? Well, this is an unprecedented major astrological event. It's occurring in July, between July 19th and July 21st. But again, around that time, things can happen. Who is Barbeau? Andre Barbeau was a very famous French astrologer, and he was born in 1921, and he didn't pass until 2019. So he had a long run. He made a number, and anybody can look him up. Andre Barbeau. He made a number of really accurate predictions, including the fall of the Berlin Wall, the collapse of the Soviet Union, which was triggered by the Berlin Wall. He also predicted, before he passed, that a worldwide crisis would occur in 2020, which of course we had the pandemic. He was such a heavy hitter in the world of astrology. So why is it called Barbeau's basket? Because the configuration, if you looked at it on the astrological wheel, looks just like a basket. And it is considered he considered it a turning point for the world. Now that's really huge. That's significant. And again, apparently, this is the first astrological configuration that can't be tracked to any other one in history. I mean, this is wild. It's that rare. For me, that just kind of blew me over. Generally speaking, whether in numerology or astrology, we can track same or similar transits or configurations to past events, which I do often, but not so with this transit. As far as I know, no astrologer can track this transit as ever occurring. So this month between July 19th and the 21st, or there around, the heavens are going to present one of the most remarkable planetary alignments. Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto form this rare geometric pattern. Now, I do have to say that Andre Barbeau didn't necessarily predict that a single world-changing event would occur. And I want to be really specific about this. He saw it as a turning point, the beginning of a new chapter in human consciousness. So let's just break it down astrologically. I want to, because it's important to do that. Saturn and Neptune in Aries at 4 degrees invites us to transform dreams into reality by blending vision with discipline. Pluto in Aquarius, which has been around for a while, at 4 degrees, just continues its work of reshaping collective powers, technology, community, social systems. Uranus in Gemini at 4 degrees encourages breakthroughs in communication, education, transportation, innovative thinking. And Jupiter in Leo at 4 degrees inspires courageous leadership, creativity, generosity, and of course, Leo, heart-centered living. So a grand trine between Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, coupled with Jupiter, forms a minor grand trine that, as I mentioned a few times now, resembles the shape of a basket. So the impacts are collective. The outer planets are affecting us subconsciously and in other ways that we may or may not be aware of. And to add to this, I found it so interesting that all 4 transiting outer planets sit perfectly at exactly 4 degrees of their respective signs. And it's considered highly significant by astrologers, but also as a numerologist, the number 4 symbolizes what? Stability, structure, foundation. So what is this telling us? Well, I think it's loud and clear, and it's a booming message that suggests we have a collective opportunity to rebuild what has been broken. And certainly not by returning to what we've done in the past, but by creating something new, creating something wiser, more compassionate, more aligned with our highest potential. I feel like in the movies, it's a green light for us. We're green lighting our life. It is divine support for us who have been desperate, who have been crying for change. So will the world suddenly change in July 20th or 19th? No, probably not. However, and in all fairness, I have to mention, some astrologers do suggest that this could bring about widespread disruptive reorganizations across the board, rather than sudden peaceful global harmony. But it could mean a breakdown before a major breakthrough. How can there be such discordant perceptions? Well, there's definitely truth to the energies of the heavens, right? But we can't always predict exactly how or when they are going to occur. But we do have these either timestamps or indications. So some say, it's going to bring disruption, and some say it's going to bring an awakening. And I think if I had to interpret whether or not we observe a life altering event, I'm not 100% certain that it will or it won't. However, I absolutely believe that this alignment marks the beginning of a long upward cycle, one that we will see, and one that we will witness greater cooperation, innovation, and a focus on what truly serves us as a global community. I do believe it's altering the energy of the planet without a doubt, and ushering in a new phase of consciousness that is really going to hit people at their core, and that people are and will be really waking up and becoming involved in the undoing of the corruption that is so widespread in this world. I also believe, I'll just throw this in, that within a few years, I think there will be necessary and really needed changes that take place in our Constitution. I think it's about time. But now, who knows? Perhaps some very visible, surprising, or shocking or unusual events will occur, but whatever does or doesn't happen, it is a turning point. And be aware, please, that just because we don't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We know that numerology and astrology has, so far this year, it's been fairly accurate. And just to go back to July of 2024, we had that frightening and highly volatile conjunction of Mars and Uranus with the fixed star, the malefic fixed star Algol in Taurus. And when that happens, it usually means violence. And before it actually happened, I, along with a lot of other astrologers and metaphysical people, had said it could mean a serious and violent event. And what did happen was the assassination attempt on Trump. So we can say that numerology and astrology describes the weather, but it doesn't determine our choices. The planets may offer us favorable winds, but it's still up to us. We got to raise those sails. So I think I covered this transit as best I could. I'm excited about it, but we did have other transits to talk about as well. So I'm going to stop here. It's a lot of information to digest. And it feels both exciting and almost terrifying, not to be too dramatic. But personally, I really feel that something is changing, and I choose to believe that is all for our greater good. Some really big things can happen this month. And even if it doesn't look big, I really have little doubt that something positive, I really doubt that something positive isn't going to be rolling out and altering our future in the long run. And although technology is advancing at an astronomical rate, thank you, Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus, we have to be awake and aware to what is happening. And I mean, I heard this and I really thought about it. Do we really need robots to do our laundry and take out the garbage? I mean, some people may be saying, hell yeah, but I don't know. For me, now I would say, no, I don't really want that or need that, but who knows, right, in the future. So think about it. Think of how this year has been like living the 3D version of the Jetsons. Think about the Jetsons. Do you know the only thing that's lacking from that show, the Jetson, is flying cars, and we're awfully close to that. And Rosie, the robot who, does your laundry. So finally, what I want to say, we are on an absolutely remarkable journey and threshold of transformation. And my hope, my prayer is that we can sort this all out in better, more globally conscious and compassionate ways in order to have some lasting positive transformations. And here's a quote I posted this morning from Virginia Suter, who was one of the founders of modern family therapy. And she believed that people are not limited by their past, but, and we've said this a gazillion times, by their beliefs they hold about themselves. Her work is just a wonderful reminder that when we increase our self-esteem, when we increase our communication, when we have compassion, we can transform not only our relationships, but our entire lives. And this is powerful. And from experience, I know this is so true. So here's the quote. She said, I want you to get excited about who you are, what you have, and what can still be for you. I want to inspire you to see that you can go far beyond where you are right now. And I think that is such a lovely, inspiring quote. So I'll leave everyone with that, and everyone have a happy 4th, and please stay safe and be positive.
Come on. There we go.
Okay.
Wow. Well, that's a lot, Michele.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So it is reminding me of a message that was given to me in meditation this morning, which was about cataclysmic events and the need to not be in resistance. Because
Wow.
the more we resist and try to keep things exactly the way that they were, the harder that is on us. And that this is the perfect time for us to be in the flow with our spirituality and our understanding of our divine oneness, and know that there may be events like Venezuela was not expecting major earthquakes. People lost family members and the pain that comes with that. But what I heard from the earth this morning, as bizarre as that sounds to hear and as bizarre as that sounds to say, all of this shifting is purging, and it's not personal. Whatever happens, whether it's earthquakes or flooding, it's the earth doing what the earth needs to do, and it's not personal. As hard as that is for us to hear when we're impacted or a loved one is impacted, it's just a reminder we are such a small part of the macrocosm. And when you're talking about, the Burroughs basket and all of these things coming into alignment, it's not personal for us. It's just the planet, the earth, the stars doing what they're going to do, and we happen to be along for the ride.
Exactly. Beautifully put, Ruth. Beautifully put. The universe wants the best for us. Mother Earth wants the best for us. We have to, I love what you said, we have to not resist, okay?
Yeah.
And we have to be, and the more we are in alignment with who we are, that's why it's so important. Where does change start? Here. If you want to change the world, change yourself. If you want to have a different relationship with others, have a different relationship outside of your family, first start with yourself and your family. That's where it begins. So I love what you said. It's not personal. We are in desperate need of change. I think everybody on the planet would agree that we are desperately in need of positive change, and we are desperately in need of having a more different perspective on as a global community, and not just me versus you or me versus them. It's us together. And that's the only way we're going to heal it. So the universe is giving us opportunities to do that. So I hope we follow with peace. And I do think there's going to be so much protesting, and hopefully it's going to be peaceful, though, protesting.
Okay. Well, there we go.
There we go.
Thank you so very much. Michele,
Yes.
what would you like folks to know about you?
Okay, that I am a board certified life coach, hypnotherapist, numerologist. I've written 2 books, The Tao of Numbers, The Year of Living Miraculously. It's a great time to get your chart done, especially during all these changes and upheavals. Get your numerology chart done. Or if you would like to, schedule a session with me, you can have a free 15-minute session with me. All you have to do is go to michelelanders.com, Michele with 1L, and I'll be happy to chat with you. So take advantage of that. And thank you all for listening, for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
And share this out, share EWN out. I hope people are doing that anyway.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, friends, take good care. God bless. And we will be sharing something else with Michele Landers today. It's your personal month, which will be fascinating when we're bookending that with this information about July. So take good care, friends. God bless. We'll see you soon.